Where might you inside be buying into the illusion that sickness is more attractive than wellness? Let yourself be healthy. So we're doing this gorgeous series called Let Yourself Be. Spark of inspiration for this series was a Let Yourself Be Skinny video that I did 11 years ago that has caught a lot of attention. And again, if you want to see that video, if you want to see what the real conversation was behind that, because I don't think today I would use that word, but the overall premise and understanding is absolutely the same and what I stand by. In us gifting ourselves permission to live into what it is we desire without upper limiting. In this series, let yourself be healthy, let yourself be rich, let yourself be happy, so powerful, let yourself be beautiful, love, all the things. Today is let yourself be healthy. Am I going to say some of the things that I really want to say about this topic? And I am. I'm going to go there. And some of it you might agree with, some of it you might not. It's all okay. The opportunity here is to open up a conversation for you, inside of you, to consider and reflect on where inside of your life are you stopping yourself from experiencing that which you want to experience. I encourage you to see through that lens with what it is I'm going to share with you today. Feel into that question. You may be across the board in different kind of experiences. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, oh yeah, of course I can let myself be healthy. I feel great. I feel la la. Maybe you're in a really intense situation physically in your life. I spoke with a woman the other day who in her past was diagnosed with leukemia and was told she had 3 days to 3 weeks to live. So wherever you might be, and anywhere in between, right, on the spectrum of this physical world inside of well-being, you may respond to this information differently. The way with which I'm being called to have this conversation is to bring up the question inside of where you may be, where we may unconsciously attach ourselves to sickness. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds totally illogical. So let's look at this together. We may be buying into the illusion that somehow, in some way, it's more attractive to us to be sick rather than to be healthy. If there's something inside of you that perhaps you have a memory of when you're little and you got sick and you got to take the day off from school and maybe your mom or dad gave you so much attention, you got to go to grandma's house or you ate ice cream and you had ginger ale, there can be these little pieces that come in that say, oh, this is very attractive. I like this. I'm feeling and seeing, buying into the perception that the only way or the way that I allow myself to experience these nice things is when I'm sick. Unconsciously then, sickness becomes attractive. Sickness can also be attractive in that it can make us feel special, in that a lot of us have been taught that worry is a form of love. If we're sick, and we believe this in some way, that worry is a form of love. And when we're sick, people worry about us. We can feel love. We can feel special. Another way that we might see sickness as attractive is that perhaps it lowers expectations. So here's what I mean. If you happen to be an overachiever, if you happen to be really critical on yourself, if you happen to feel like you can never quite live up to the expectation that you have of yourself or that others have of you, right? This little kind of gnawing feeling inside of, I'm not enough, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better, which is very different than a feeling inside of, I'm here to naturally grow and evolve, an organic feeling of, I always am living into my best self. What I'm talking about is the energy of like, never enough, never enough, never enough. If you've built up this kind of pressure inside of yourself, sickness can be really attractive in the way that it unconsciously, and this isn't a truth, this is an illusion, right? It can feel like it lowers expectations. So here's what I mean. If you're feeling this, if you've experienced this before, it might be like, oh, I have a project to do or a this to do or something, but I'm sick. And I'll do the thing, but now expectations are lowered because I was sick when I did it. So if I get a B, if I do pretty good on this, it's okay because I was sick. It can feel kind of twisted inside. So I'm going to trust that you can feel the energy. Again, this is going to be unique to you. It's to support you in seeing where might you inside be buying into the illusion that sickness is more attractive than wellness. If it makes you feel special, if the idea that people worrying about you makes you feel loved, if it lowers expectations, these are some of the ways that we can unconsciously buy into the illusion that sickness is more attractive than healthy, than well-being. I have a very quick message for you as we're talking about letting yourself be healthy. As my grandma Rose always said, you have nothing if you don't have your health. And as we talked about inside of the Let Yourself Be Rich series and video, that so many of us buy into the misunderstanding that we have to sacrifice something if we're going to be wealthy, if we're going to live into the allness. We feel like that's not possible. We have to sacrifice something. And typically, the first thing that women sacrifice is their health. And we know this. We know we don't have anything without our health. And yet the prioritization of our health is something that so many women put on the back burner. Inside of our FemmeRiche program, we go through the quadrants of health, wealth, beauty, and love in that order, prioritizing health first, allowing ourselves to open up to the truth that we can live into the fullness of our health. And as we do, it opens up the portal for more wealth, more beauty, and more love. So there's something really important inside of the FemmeRiche program. Not only do we look at physical health, we also look at mental health. Mental health is not the taboo that it used to be. In fact, celebrities like Kendall Jenner are really speaking openly about how important it is for us to honor and take care of our mental health and how this affects every area of our life. So inside of FemmeRiche, we do open up the categories of mental health and physical wealth and go deep into the integration of these as a portal for everything that you desire to experience in your life. We've had so many women go through this program. And as you can see here, some of the gorgeous women have had amazing responses and results from going through FemmeRiche inside of the health portion. Allie, for example, says she let go of 4 to 5 pounds and it reminded her of how beautiful it feels to feel lighter. And she says, I believe it also allowed me mental health and how that feels lighter as well. So again, this facilitation of the physical and the mental and the lightness. That's why we're here, right? To feel into the light. Another client shares, I had some major shifts in my physical health this past week, and I believe many of the family issues that came up during last week's call opened up dialogues inside of myself that needed to be addressed and healed. That's so common for Elegant Femme. We're not gonna stay on the surface. We're gonna go there, we're gonna go deep, we're gonna unravel anything that's in the way of any limitations. Kathy shared, I didn't realize how much guilt and shame there was around being healthy because so many around me are sick or in pain. That's exactly what we're talking about inside of the Let Yourself Be Healthy video. So much unlocking for her there. Sarah says, I'm realizing that my body is holding the stress and anxiety. I was not realizing that my nighttime stiffness, leg soreness, and all is probably related to the stuck energy. This is changing how I'm viewing myself now. We know how powerful our minds are. Really feeling into permission to allow yourself to be healthy opens up a portal for everything you desire in your life. There's a special opportunity for you to join us inside of FemmeRiche since you are watching the Let Yourself Be Healthy video. We are offering a special 10% off if you would like to join us inside of FemmeRiche. You can find all those details below, you can find the code below, and you can visit the page that explains to you exactly what is included. This is the only 10-week program created to support women in activating the quadrants and the paradigms of health, wealth, beauty, and love. So now back to our Let Yourself Be Healthy video. Now, again, I know because I've experienced it inside of myself, this feeling of this isn't my fault, right? I have this thing, and this is something that can get really sticky within the law of attraction, where we start to know and recognize that we are perpetuating, we are vibrating on a specific frequency. And once we are vibrating on that frequency, we attract those things that are on that frequency. When we get sick inside of the physical, one of the places that we can go inside of the ego is such a judgment of I knew better. I know better. What's wrong with me? I'm not a good student. I'm not good at this spiritual growth thing because I attracted this to myself. And we end up punishing ourselves even more, feeling guilty, buying into the judgment. This is not supportive. Couple of things inside of that context that support me inside of the physical embodiment is that when, because it doesn't have to be an absolute, we also don't need to buy into the illusion that sickness has to be a part of our lives. However, sometimes it is a part of our lives inside of the physical. So what I have found really supportive for me is that if I'm experiencing anything less than wellness, which recently I had bronchitis, and watching myself go into that old place of the ego of I must have attracted this. What's wrong with me? I know better. I'm not, living into my truth. Instead of going there, really allowing a beautiful space of compassion and love of, okay, I can see part of my physical experience is having this. It's not all of who I am. So one of the ways, and actually I'm going to be doing a beautiful gorgeous daily conversation around A Course in Miracles, which may already be up by the time that you see this. A Course in Miracles has a lot to say about sickness, a lot. And some of it's very, very controversial, especially if you look through with such a logical black and white lens. However, this is what I'll share here that I think is so potent. To recognize that we are not the physical body. That's not all of who we are, right? There's a piece of us that's here that has chosen the physical experience. Course in Miracles would say that it's an illusion that we're living into, okay? Whatever you want to feel around that. We know that's not all of who we are. It's a portion, right? That we are light, that we are souls having the human experience. If you believe that, if that resonates with you, one of the gorgeous things that can be very comforting when we are experiencing sickness inside of the physical realm is to remember that I am not my body. I am not going to buy into the illusion that this is all that I am, that this is finite, because the ego loves to utilize sickness as a form of fear, as a form of limitation, as a form of, oh my gosh, I worry, right? I could die, I could this. It's like we buy into this smallness of limitation. So one of the beautiful things that can be really supportive is just the gorgeous kind of distancing of like, okay, a part of me is experiencing this physical thing. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to be aware that this is a part of me, but it's not all of me. And this can be really freeing. This can really open us up to really a gorgeous awareness of healing. Another thing that we have a tendency to do inside of the human experience is attach ourselves to things having to be hard in order for us to get what we want. We utilize certain things as justification process or points to say, okay, well, I had this horrible thing, and so therefore now it's okay for me to have this good thing. And we can sometimes get in this cycle, this belief of, well, if I'm sick, that means I can have the lollipop, the proverbial, like from an adult size perspective, like if when you were little and you went to the doctor, you went to the dentist, and then afterwards you got an ice cream or you got a lollipop. Sometimes inside of our subconscious mind, we can have a pairing of, oh, if this bad thing, if I'm sick, then I get the prize. So we can unconsciously build this belief system of that's how it needs to be. It does not need to be that way. So here's some just really beautiful opportunities for you to feel into. I encourage you to, after you watch this, if it feels congruent, get out your journal and just look through the lens of where might I in my life be buying into the illusion that sickness is more attractive than wellness, is more attractive than healthy. That'd be number one. And the second thing, if I allowed myself to be healthy, what would I allow into my life? So sometimes we can actually be more afraid. That gorgeous quote from Marianne Williamson, right? More afraid of our light than our dark. Sometimes we can be more afraid of, like, oh my gosh, what if I was totally healthy? And I know it sounds crazy. It sounds totally crazy. Like, why would I be afraid of that? But sometimes we can. We can utilize sickness as a form of protection, as a form of excuse, as a form of like, oh my gosh, well, if I was healthy, I'd go do the fucking thing, right? I'd go start the business. I'd let myself fall in love. I'd move across the world. So those two things. Where might you be buying into sickness as more attractive than wellness, as more attractive than healthy? And number two, if you allowed yourself to be fully healthy, what would you allow into your life? If you like this, if you like this series, if you like this conversation, please subscribe. And if you want to take things deeper with us, we have a Woman Living Fully Facebook group that is a private Facebook group, a gorgeous community of women, almost 7,000 women in there that are committed to this level of conversation. Wealth, health, beauty, love, elegance, this full receiving of the feminine. This is Tara Marino with Elegant Femme. Let yourself be healthy. All right, that's a wrap, folks. That's a wrap. Let yourself be healthy. Healthy, healthy, healthy. Oh, I wonder where I was looking. Was I looking here? Or was I looking there in the camera? Don't worry, Dave will figure it out.